Sweet.
Then
so this will be my.
good.
This will be fantastic.
Good. Blood vessel break?
Yeah. Yeah. That's the reason why I couldn't make it to class
Oh,
this
really?
week. Yeah. But now I'm like, oh, I'm finally feeling better enough to like.
And this is what we covered. The interview was interesting, though. My guest in class was a guy who combined door-to-door sales and window cleaning.
Interesting.
And he did 10 mil in revenue last year.
Wow.
It was cool. All right, ready to get started? I think we're all here. Hi, Reese. All right, friends. Today, we are going to be working on pitch decks. I'm going to teach you how to pitch and some very, very important strategies to know in building your pitch deck and how to present yourself. Okay? So as I go, feel free to answer questions anywhere. At some point, most businesses are going to raise capital. If you're starting a service business, you may not need to raise capital. We just talked about window cleaning. And one of my students, I teach at BYU for those of you who don't know, one of my students did window cleaning. He was just making his way through college. Well, he took that window cleaning business and he combined it with summer sales. So the point of this story is, look, how much can you make cleaning windows? Can you make enough money to make a living cleaning windows? It's a fair question. But he combined window cleaning with door-to-door sales, and he did $10 million in revenue last year. Okay? My point is, on a service business like that, we're not really going to go out and raise capital. But if we come up with this AI platform for accounting, it's going to do like become your CFO and report to you and guide you on your business and stuff. Well, you might need some money for dev. You then will need money for perhaps personnel, for selling, for marketing, okay? And so for today's scenario, let's say that we're going to raise $250,000 to get our business off the ground, and we're going to ask for a $2 million valuation. Just hypothetical, okay? What I want to do today is I want to teach you how to pitch and how to build a pitch deck, okay? I need you to understand raising capital. I say, oh, great, $250,000 at a $2 million valuation. It's not that easy. There's a lot of people. We get pitched here. I probably see 8 pitches a week. So I see 8 different products every single week. And personally, I invest in maybe 6 a year, so 1 every other month. That's just Corbin. But if you look at all the different funds and so forth, what we can do is we can bring a lot of people together to fund 250. 5 people are at 50, or 2 at 100 and 1 at 50. There's a lot of different ways to put your money together. But you've got to be good. You've got to warrant somebody giving you that money. I just need you to know it's not as easy as it looks. The more prepared you can be, and that's the purpose of this lesson today, the more prepared you can be, your chances of acquiring, getting that capital go way, way up, okay? Because you need to impress who you're talking to. And so everything I'm going to go through with you is how you prepare to do that. But if you practice your pitch and you're really honed, dramatically increase your chances, okay? You got to be excellent, okay? Your first pitch is probably going to be, if you make an appointment with a venture capitalist or an angel in the beginning, and we work our way up to venture capital, your pitch, your time they're going to give you is going to be about 30 minutes, okay? Now, a lot of people are going to tell you half of that time should be your pitch and half should be Q&A. And I'm going to tell you 8 to 10 minutes on your pitch. You want as much time as possible to go back and forth in Q&A. That's where it's going to happen, not in your pitch, okay? Besides that, you're going to lose control in most circumstances. The VCs, whoever you're pitching to, there's a lot of arrogance in this space. I have money, you don't. I am your gatekeeper. I am the key to your success. And if I have that attitude in my head, then I'm arrogant. And it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And people are nasty, okay? And so as you're doing your presentation, they're going to start asking you questions. And if you don't work back into your presentation, you'll never get to some of your most important slides because you allowed them to take over your presentation. More on that in a minute, okay? But I would plan on 10-ish minutes for my presentation of my 30-minute appointment. And mind you, we may not even get started until 5 after the hour. Just because walking in, getting acquainted, stuff like that, okay? Simple thing you can do is be sure that there are no errors in your pitch deck. Simple. But spelling errors and things like that, I'll share all my slides with you guys. You can have my slides, okay? Because we're going to get into a lot of information in the back about different kinds of money. Look, just eliminate errors, and that's going to make you look intelligent, okay? A spelling error or something like that, it's inexcusable. You shouldn't have that. Okay, the goal of the pitch is to get a second appointment. Rarely will you ever get funded on a first appointment. It doesn't happen. So you're trying to get an appointment to come back. That's the goal. There is a book over here on the shelf. I can see them lined up on the bottom shelf called the Pitch Deck Book by Tim Cooley. Tim runs Utah's venture capital fund called, I just was talking to those guys about it. It slipped my mind. Anyway, Tim runs, Utah has a very large fund and he runs it. He wrote that book. And so a lot of that's incorporated here, but it's a good reference right there. And these slides are yours so you can reference them. And I do this every 4 weeks for the newcomers. And so you can always sit back in and ask me questions. Okay. Covered most of that. Oh, we're just continuing on. Look, I see decks that have 50 and 60 slides in them. TMI, you missed the point. Your deck should be approximately 20 slides. A 50, 60 deck slide, but it's going to take you 30 minutes. And then there's no Q&A. And you've blown your appointment. You have hit them with way too much information for the first appointment. So about 20 slides. And yesterday, day before yesterday, if some of you were here, you were here, I had one of my students come in and pitch because he's pitching to a family office tomorrow in Salt Lake City. I wanted him scared to death. We scared him to death, did we not? The poor kid had cotton mouth. He was speaking so fast. He's just terrified. And that's exactly what I wanted, because tomorrow will be easier because he did it in front of a crowd here. Come do it in front of a crowd here. We'll make this available for you. Come get scared here. Come screw up here. Let us help you tweak it and improve it before you go in front of the person who writes the check. Okay? So, but come work through your thing. His slides were just covered with information. And he was reading every line to us. You don't need to. We were reading the lines. We were seeing them. You should have bullet points here. Mine are expansive because I give you my slides because it's a source of information for you. Okay? I distribute these to my students and so forth. These should just be bullet points and then you speak to them. Okay? That's critical. We don't do big paragraphs and so forth. All right. This is important. Who doesn't have something on their lap? You just set your notepad aside. When you walk into the room, you have to know something, everybody. You're being judged from the moment you send me an email and ask for an appointment. We're being judged. I'm looking at giving you, what, $250,000? I need to know you're capable of handling $250,000. So the moment you walk in that room, you're the VC in this circumstance. Corbin Church, John, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. I've read about your firm. I'm honored to be here, but I also think I'm going to show you Michi today. I think it's a perfect fit for what you guys do, and I'm really excited to share with you. Thanks for your time.
Okay.
I never lost my eye contact with my VC. I walked in, I gripped his hand, I walked right up to him. There was none of this being timid or anything. What am I conveying?
Don't know what you're doing.
I am trying to convey confidence. These guys, you're going to see a slide in a minute. They're picking you before they ever pick the product. You could have the greatest product in the world, be a first-class dork, and you're going nowhere. Right? Yet, you could have a pretty poor product and be a rock star and still succeed. It's about you. It's not about your slide deck and your presentation. So from the first email and the moment you walk in that door, you've got to be exuding confidence. And that is big time handshake, eye contact, and be prepared to introduce yourself in a confident way. Okay? I bumbled. What's that?
Zuckerberg's pretty dorky.
Total dork. Total dork. There's so many people that you look at and you're like, really?
Wow.
But see, those guys were doing a dot-com boom. I lived through the dot-com boom. Maybe you were, you know. It was crazy. Just everything was exploding in Silicon Valley. So a lot of what he got, he probably got from his Stanford cachet and stuff. Couldn't tell you. But he is dorky. To this day. Quite dorky. Okay, this is so important. And that is, and I deal with so many people who come. I sit there and I look at, we made an investment to some guys who I shouldn't have, because they came into that conference room and I was gagging over their arrogance. And I just thought, okay, they're sure confident. And we gave them 100 grand. And they're out of business within 12 months. Their product's still available. I'm looking for an owner for it. But look, I am looking for confidence, but if you cross that line into arrogance, you're out. At least with me, you're out. Why? Can somebody tell me why? Why do you think? What?
You're not teachable.
You're not teachable. You won't take advice. I am not interested in working with an arrogant founder. You're out. It just ends right there. And I have to tell you that probably a full third of the people I meet with exude arrogance. You're out. A week ago, were you in that Q&A up there?
No, I wasn't.
I did group mentoring a week ago Tuesday up there. And two guys came in and they asked my advice, which I gave. And they proceeded to tell me why I was wrong. And then, what?
The toy?
It was the toy.
I was there.
You were there. And then we went to a different topic and I answered and they told me why I was wrong. And then we went to a different topic and the same thing replied. We replayed this again. And I said, gentlemen, I think we're good. I will not work with you. I give you a 99% chance of failure. You are doing everything in exactly the wrong order that I believe you should be doing it. But you are very confident that you're doing it right. They didn't want the world to see their product, so they weren't going to go out and test it. They wanted $3 million at a $30 million valuation so that they could buy millions of units without ever testing it. And I'm like, good luck, wish you the best. It's not for me. There's the door. And they just kept going. I could not stop them. They wanted to convince me so badly that they were right. Maybe you are, but you are for somebody else, not me. And we are just so wasting our time. Nobody else could ask a question that day at group mentoring because they dominated the entire time. That's the arrogance that I'm talking about. And maybe somebody else is going to be different, but I don't think so. I would just be confident and not cross that line. Okay, this is important. Who are you pitching to? Yes, sir. Question.
If you don't mind me asking this question.
You may.
There's a huge difference between faking it till you make it.
Uh-huh.
Like with confidence. At what point you can tell someone is trying to be confident or working on that versus turning into an arrogant person.
Look, you said fake it till you make it.
Yeah, with confidence, like feeling confident.
Yeah, it's an important attribute of an entrepreneur. Okay? You don't know. You're about to put up projections on the screen and what happened? How long has it been gone? Just barely. All right. You're about to put financial projections on the screen. And by definition of projections, they're fake. They're a hypothesis. You've got to speak with confidence that this is where it is. You've got to walk me through why you really believe this is going to happen. And look, it's going to be less about a lot of those things. And it's going to be more about, because I know everybody brings into my office projections. The moment you prepare projections on the screen, I cut them in half. I'm diseased. I can't help it. Whatever you say, I'm going to cut in half. It's just what I naturally do because I know you have no clue what you're projecting and what you're doing. And so don't make them double now because you know I'm going to do that. But you just need to talk. You're pitching me. I'll come back to you. You're pitching me. You're the authority. I just need you to show that you're the authority. If he challenges you, and he's been doing this a long time, you need to recognize what he was saying. Say, I understand that. I respect what you're saying, and I would love your counsel and your guidance as my partner and being my investor on this project. I'd love to work through this with you. I built this with these financial people and these experts, and this is what we came to. But I'm open-minded that there might, it might be something different than this. I acknowledged this person. I didn't need to be acknowledged, but I was never acknowledged. They were smarter than me. They had a unicorn farm with no unicorns. Like they just were way ahead of themselves. That's the confidence that I need to see from you. But then if somebody who's been doing this a long time challenges you, acknowledge them and be open to a different path, different projections, okay? Does that help you? Okay, it's just, you gotta show me confidence. You gotta own what you're doing. Okay, question, comment.
I am very realistic with numbers. I like numbers, and I don't like to exaggerate. I like to go real with numbers. Then if I go real, talk to you, you're gonna cut my numbers?
Yeah, yeah, because every entrepreneur is excited. They're excited about what they're gonna do. And I just know that it's gonna take you longer than you think it's going to take. That's all. I've just done this too long, and I know what reality is, and I respect your enthusiasm. See, I'm giving you credit for your enthusiasm, but I also know it's going to be less. Now, the one thing you have to be careful of, if you put up on the board, if you put up on the screen when you're doing a presentation, and you tell me that in year 1, you're gonna do 2 mil, and in year 2, you're going to do 5 mil, and in year 3, you're going to do 15 mil, and you ask me for 250K at a 10 mil valuation, I think your 10 mil valuation is really high. You're pre-revenue. You're a concept and you're asking me for a $10 million valuation. Sam, what was your valuation when you asked for money? 3 million. Okay, he's got a tech company. He's a SaaS platform. And 3 million, well, that's pretty reasonable. And then you walk in and you ask for 10, and you're kind of holding the line firm with me. I might just say to you, all right, I'll give you your 10. But if you don't hit this number, then you give me my 5. 5 mil in 2 years? It's pretty aggressive. Takes a lot. I got a lot of portfolio companies. They don't often hit 5 in 2 years, but I have seen it happen. And that's pretty rare. But see, you're thinking that's pretty reasonable. So I might tie your valuation to what you gave me, and that's called a ratchet down. We'll then ratchet that valuation down if you don't do what you said. So it's also good to be realistic and conservative, but I'm not saying that this wasn't realistic and conservative in a young entrepreneur's mind. They're excited. They believe they can sell a lot of their widgets. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
You ever had somebody do the opposite, undersell themselves?
Yes. And in that circumstance, in this room, I will teach you why you're making a mistake. So I often have people come in and they say, I need $50,000 at a $500,000 valuation, or even a $250,000. How do we value a company? Anybody know the science behind it? Pre-revenue. How do you value a pre-revenue company? Really close. That is one method. That's a good method. My method is this. What do you think, Colt? 5.5 million. That's how we value companies. All right. All right. Now, in reality, I don't ever give a valuation below $1 million. You have to start somewhere. Is your company worth $1 million? Of course not. You have a hypothesis. You have an idea. How could it be worth $1 million? Because we have to start somewhere. You're asking for $50,000 or 100 grand. I need you to own your company. It's important as we get 3 raises down the road that you still have control of your company. And so we're usually going to start at $1 million. If you're a service, that's when you might go below $1 million. Garbage can cleaning, window washing. But I also don't think you're even going to get any money. Okay? Bin blasters. Should have given him money. He was a garbage can cleaning business in St. George. And I didn't see how that was going to grow into something. Okay? This is a hypothetical scenario because he wasn't raising money. I've been his mentor since the beginning. Caden built this business cleaning residential garbage cans in St. George. The only way we could make that biggest business bigger than a Boy Scout young men type project was to take it somewhere beyond St. George. So he went out and he started franchising his business. He sold his St. George business to somebody else who is his franchisee today. He has 40 franchisees today across the country. He sells a proprietary trailer that cleans the garbage cans. Okay, so I'm going back to the service idea. He didn't need any money to start his business. It's a power washer in the early days. Yes, sir.
With talking about expectations and not over exceeding or undervaluing, how long did it take him to scale to, you said 40?
I would say that he's probably been in business approximately, first time I met with him was probably somewhere between 3 and 4 years ago. He'll walk through here in a minute, we'll ask. 3 to 4 years. And so I'll bet that with franchising, he gets a fee, right? I'll bet he's in the 4 or 5 million range right now, revenue, 4 years. Okay, but he has a business that'll be worth 100 million within 5 years. my guess. Okay, it's great business. Cleaning garbage cans. I would call that kind of a stupid business. And nice job, Caden. What a beautiful thing. All right, so let me get to this one point. Who are you pitching to? What are you going to wear to this appointment? You going to go dressed like you are? You going to go dressed like that?
I think anything that's comfortable or
If you're pitching Todd Peterson, that's a little too casual. That's probably right up Todd's alley. If you're walking into a VC firm, you just lost their respect the moment you walked through the door. If you're on either coast,
My husband pitched yesterday to Todd. That's how he dressed.
he pitched Todd yesterday?
Yeah.
Todd Peterson?
Yeah.
Oh, how do you get
Todd Westra. my
Todd
dad.
Westra? Yeah. If you're on either coast, you're in a suit and tie. Or you've lost their respect the moment you entered the room. You need to dress to who you're pitching. Okay? Todd happens to be a holy jeans, t-shirt, gold chains kind of guy. Okay? I would always dress one level above whoever I'm meeting with because I don't want to take the risk. Todd has people that run his thousands of investments, and they might be sitting in that room and they may have input in your meeting. Dress one level above. Okay? That's my point to being clean shaven, well dressed, and dressing accordingly. Yeah.
Do you, if your business already has a stigma around it on how you should be dressing, is that how
Now,
does that
if you
affect-
can dress in a uniform, I'm in uniform. The one thing that I could do with my uniform is I could tuck in my shirt and put on a belt. Okay? I could also put a blazer over my uniform if I felt I needed to. A uniform trumps a dress code. Okay? So if this has something to do with your business, you see Shark Tank, then you're going to dress now in your business attire. That's okay. But if I'm on the coast, I'm wearing a suit and tie. They're stuffy, especially that way. This way, a little less so. Okay? In doubt, bring a tie and wear slacks and a jacket. Ladies, dress classy. You have more freedom than a man. You don't have to wear a skirt, but you'd wear a pantsuit or something along those lines. Okay? Just classy. All right, but here's this point that I made a minute ago, and I'll repeat it. They are looking for the jockey first, and then they'll pay attention to your horse. It's not the horse first. You've got to have a good horse. But folks, it's all about you first. And I need that in your heads because you've got to be polished and have confidence in all those things I talked about. Okay, let's talk about the introduction. Somebody tell me what time it is. 3:35, found it. Clock's in a different place. I'm going to move faster because we're not going to get done. Now I'm going through the pitch deck. We've come in, we've made some introductions, we did some small chat. People have come into the room, they've taken their seats. I prefer to be at the head of the table. Wherever the TV is, that's where I want to be. I prefer to be standing. Okay? When I'm standing, I can hide a lot of what's going on inside my body because I'm having a nervous breakdown inside. This is kind of scary stuff. And I want to hide that. If I'm shaky because I'm presenting to people I really need their money, I want to hide that. And if I'm sitting right here and we're all across from each other, my nervousness and everything's going to be more visible. However, if I'm standing, I can be moving about. I can be pointing to my slideshow. I can be doing things and I can hide a lot. Personally, I prefer to stand. But I also have to be careful that if it's awkward that I'm standing, that I'm prepared to take a seat. What I witnessed yesterday, is the young man presenting should have had a bottle of water. He had such bad cotton mouth that he was freezing up. And it's no problem to go over, say, excuse me for a moment, grab a drink and continue on. Nobody will think a thing of that. But when I can't talk anymore, he was so dried up. I felt badly. I didn't feel badly for him. Better to have that experience here. There is no failure here. We're amongst our friends. There, you don't get a return appointment. Fail here, okay? All right, so in my introduction, here's what I want you to take away from this. First of all, I'm going to tell you how much time to spend on each slide. My introduction is close to nothing. In fact, I don't have much of an introduction slide. The name of my company, iHub logo, is still sitting on this screen when I get up and I start to present. And I say, good morning, everybody. I really appreciate your time today. Thank you for giving me time. My name's Corbin Church. I've created a product that I'm very excited to show you today. Just briefly about me, I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I've already started 2 other businesses, one that I'm running, but while I was out knocking doors, I was selling pest control in Ohio last summer. And while I was out knocking doors and going from one house to the next, this idea hit me. What if? And that's what I'm here to share with you today. I'm very excited about this. What I did in my intro, 30 seconds, I didn't spend a lot of time here, is I planted a couple seeds. Did you hear my seeds? 2 businesses, and it could have been really dumb, silly businesses because I'm only 25 years old, but I started a snow shack when I was 16, 13, and then I did this other little business. I want to very subtly say that, not arrogantly, but I want to say that. And then while I was out knocking doors, I came across this idea. What did I just say? What?
You talked about sales because you're not doing some sales.
I did what most people aren't willing to do. I did the hard stuff. While everybody else was at Lake Powell, I was in Ohio, of all places, knocking doors, being bit by dogs. They already know that. They love door knockers. Show me a VC that doesn't love door knockers. I'll show you a VC that doesn't exist. Why?
Brings out
Correct.
character.
All great answers.
You get rejected all the time.
Great answers. Remember the picture that was on the screen a minute ago? You're a good horse. You're a good jockey. I need somebody to ride this horse. And 80% of my investments fail. 80% in the VC world fail. That's why they're looking for an amazing jockey. In your 30-second introduction, drop some things that are really good. I've already said this to many of you. In Utah, you don't necessarily need to drop that you served a mission in Japan. That's just not going to get you any points here. It's kind of expected. We're looking for something. You got to give these people something more than that. They've seen way too many jockeys that didn't even get to the quarter point of the track that served a mission in New York City. That's not going to move the needle. Try to drop something that moves the needle. What makes you special? Okay? And then I'm just going to briefly tell something about myself and move in. Now I'm going right into my product. Okay? This is what my product is. You can give a quick elevator pitch, and I'm talking 15, 20 seconds, or I can go right into the problem. Okay, the elevator pitch, if you choose to go there, is just a very quick thing about your company and what you do. Then I jump right. Do you want that picture?
Yes, please.
I'll give you all these slides.
Oh, really?
I want you to have these slides. I want you to refer back to this. When you're getting ready to do a pitch, I either want you to go grab and read that book, or I want you to come back to these slides. They're on iHub site. Eddie, are they on iHub site? Let's put them up. They were put up when I did this a year ago, but if they're not there, let's be sure they're available for everybody to access.
What was the name of the book?
The pitch deck book. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to jump into, you can do the elevator pitch on your product, but man, we're not trying to tell them what the product is, and you'll see why. So where I start then is I start talking about the problem. What problem are you solving? So my first slide as I jump into my presentation is, it literally says at the top, problem. And I'm going to start walking through, what problem am I solving? The bigger the pain, the bigger the monetary possibility that exists. So here is where I want to identify the fact that this is a giant problem, and here is the proof that this is a giant problem. Okay? This is my solution. I'll use my handbag company. Can I borrow your bag?
It's heavy.
Yeah, it is really heavy. Okay, so I'm going to show you, I'm going to go back to my elevator pitch. I'm going to show you a very cool concept today. This is a women's handbag. And as I say that to you, I know that you're probably thinking in your mind, women's handbag. Really? Why did we give this guy 30 minutes to talk to us about women's handbags? What could you possibly do with women's handbags? I'm glad you ask yourselves those questions. I've been out talking to ladies, and if I approach a lady, ma'am, I would presume, Sally, I presume I see you have a handbag. Do you have more than one handbag that you switch to from time to time? Okay, I assumed that you would. You have 3 or 4, maybe more in your closet, and you switch? Is it a pain to take the stuff out of your bag and move it to another bag? Yes? Okay. All right. My case in point. I've talked to 165 people, women, who carry a handbag. And I asked them the same questions that I asked Sally. Thank goodness Sally was in the room when I was doing my pitch. Okay? Because she just sold them. She just confirmed that this is a problem. But if this is a room full of men, and it often is, because the money world tends to be very male dominated, I'm convincing men that a handbag is a good idea. All right? Women find it. 92% of the women that I talked to and showed this product to said, I hate taking the stuff out of this bag and switching it to this bag. But they love for their bag to match their outfit, so they're constantly changing the style of their bag. What if? Here's the solution to the problem. What if I had a traditional bag like this, but I simply took one exterior off, put a new one on, and went from a red croc to a black alligator in 3 seconds? On 4th of July, I go to a 4th of July style in 3 seconds. Are you getting it? We are able to solve a problem for women because they have one base bag, everything stays inside, but I've changed the exterior in 3 seconds, and I'm back on my way without ever touching anything inside the bag. 92% of the people that I surveyed said, I would buy that product today. And so now I just move to my next slide. So let me catch you up.
Do you still sell that?
No, I sold the company. So here we're working on the problem. My problem slide is identifying the fact that I have found a problem. Then I jump to my solution, okay? And so this now is where I'm talking about my product. The reason I don't want to give too much of an elevator pitch in the beginning is because here is where I want to tell about my product. This is the solution to the problem. Intro, pain, problem, solution. And then the very next thing I go to is evidence that my solution is in fact a solution. There are 2 words here. We have validation and we have traction. Validation is, I've talked to 165 people. 92% of those people, all women between the ages of 40 and 70 years old, 92% of those women said, I want that product. In fact, 102 of those 165 women gave me their email addresses and said, would you please notify me when the bag comes on the market? That's how strong of a response I got to this problem. This is all fictitious. This was 18 years ago. I'm just giving you a hypothetical. Now, validation are those stats. If you can, and as much as possible, I want you to take this to the next level. And the next level is traction. If you can show me traction, now you've really got a financially minded person's attention, because traction is things like, I've got purchase orders from Johnson & Johnson. They're not going to buy handbags, but I've got a letter of intent from Johnson & Johnson. I've got a letter of intent from SmithGlaxoKline, whatever that word is now. You want to show these things because to financially minded people, you just lowered their risk of investment. Because you don't just hope you've got something here, you actually have big players wanting to buy your product. That's the difference between validation and traction. Okay? Questions thus far? Okay, go.
With the business-to-business traction, how do you do that if it's like really hard to get to the
Same. You're not going to put up numbers like 168, but you're going to say, I talked to 27 CTOs. 24 of them said, this hits on an exact pain I deal with every day, and I wish I had a solution for. I would buy this product. It's going to be a much smaller number because you can't get to as many women. I go to a park on a sunny day like today, and women are sitting ducks. I go to the Costco parking lot, they're coming out in droves. Okay? CTOs, they're hidden inside a building somewhere, and they've got people protecting them from people like you. Try to get to 27. Okay? But it's the same thing. It's just a smaller number. But I respect 24 out of 27 said this hits the bullseye. That's a win. Okay? All right?
And actually follow up with that. If like all of them said, oh, this really hits the pain, but I can't commit to anything because I would need to go through the full process of talking to a lot of other people, so I can't give any letters of intent. Right?
Yeah.
How would you
So
about that?
if you would continue that discussion, if a CTO said that to you, said, say outstanding, I would love to get from you a non-binding letter of intent. A non-binding LOI really doesn't carry a lot, it carries no weight. It just says, I'm interested enough, I'll give you a non-binding letter of intent. I want this product. And if you can get them to sign that, putting all those letters of intent on the table in front of your investors dramatically increased your chances of getting money. Dramatically. So you keep pushing that when you do it. It might be the second or third appointment that you get an LOI, because that CTO, after you show him this, he says, could it do this? Could it do this? You might go code that and bring it back and show him that you've done it, or say absolutely. And by the way, hey, Jeff, what other advice? What else would you think would be a game changer for you and Coca-Cola? Well, honestly, if it would do this, that's my bigger problem. These things are great, but if it could do this, that's really big. Now, you're having a convo with him, you're getting him bought into your product. You go back and dev that and bring it back and show it to him done, wow. But you may not even be in the dev stage yet. You might just be validating, and so, yeah, you still try to get an LOI, okay? Those just skyrocket your chances of getting money. I see you're holding onto your purse very tightly. Okay, this QR code, it exists in these slides. This QR code is there for you. This is an 8.5-minute video I had one of my students make. And This goes through the validation process. For those of you who are wondering what validation is, if you've been in my class, you know. But this 8.5-minute video will describe the process of validation to you in a cartoon, that this is the process. This is what I need you to show me, okay? If anybody ever makes an appointment to come pitch me or to talk to me about their product, my first question to them is,
Did you validate your idea?
no. Tell me about your validation. I'm assuming you validated. If you say, what does that mean? Go watch this video and call me back. Have a nice day. I don't talk to anyone who has not validated their idea. You have a hypothesis. After you validated it, you still have a hypothesis, but at least you can back it up with something. We're all excited about something. I need you excited with backup, okay? All right, so that video's there. It's embedded in here. You all got it. So when you get these slides or when you look them up. Okay, now we're going to go through TAM, SAM, SOM, okay? And what these slides talk about, you'll see these in circles, okay? Your TAM, your SAM, your SOM. And total addressable market, something addressable, serviceable addressable market, size of market. And what we're getting to in the smallest circle is this is how many people I can actually penetrate. Okay, so in handbags, my total addressable market 18 years ago, my TAM was $12 billion. Today, I'll bet it's 50, 60, 70 billion dollars. Okay, but the actual size of my market would have been, oh, maybe $1 billion, because I wasn't leather. So that cuts off a whole big chunk of my market. I was pleather, okay? And so I lose anybody who wants a leather bag. It's hokey, it's gimmicky. A lot of people want many different bags, right? I'm not a name brand. I'm not Michael Kors. I'm not Coach. I'm not Gucci. And so I lose all those people. And so that's what those circles address. Here's what I need to teach you about this slide right here. This is one slide and has 3 big circles on it. Big, medium, small. TAM, SAM, SOM. I don't care. All I need from you on this slide is 3 big circles, and I need to see what the TAM is. And if that TAM doesn't have a B word after it, you're out. I need you to spend 15 seconds on this slide. And all you're saying to me is, this is a gigantic market. And move on to the next slide. And if you can't say this is a gigantic market, you shouldn't be in pitching me. That's it. People spend 3-4 minutes on this slide. You missed the point. Don't care. I already know. And I'm going to check everything you brought me. My interns are. Just show me billions of dollars size of market, meaning TAM. Show me it's a very, very big space. Okay? 15 seconds, 20 seconds. That's all you're going to do here. Now we're going to talk about the competition. Let me teach you about this competition slide. This competition slide is more strategic than most people think. Okay? And the competition slide looks like this. I'll get it. Oh, I went to CrossFit today. That hurt. Okay. The competition slide looks like this. Here is me. Here's competitor 1, competitor 2, competitor 3, and competitor 4. Here are features of the product. Here's feature 1, here's feature 2, here's feature 3, here's feature 4. Okay? What does mine look like? Whoops, me. Here's me. Sorry. Me looks like this. Right? I do everything. Competitor 1 does this. Competitor 2 does this. Competitor 3 does these 2. And competitor 4 does this. You are relaying one message on this slide. And the message that you're relaying, I don't have any competition. You're acknowledging, here are my competitors. You're also acknowledging, I don't have any competition. I told you during the pain stage how big of a pain this is, how big of a pain this is, how big of a pain this is. And none of my competitors address all of those things that 165 women said were a gigantic pain. And none of my competition hits all of them, just me. And what I said, without saying all those words, but simply putting up this chart is, I don't have any competition. Nobody addresses everything that the woman wants in her handbag. Okay? That's the purpose of that slide. And that chart is how everybody does it. There's no need to reinvent that. 20 seconds. I do all of these things nobody else does. Then we go to our go-to-market strategy. How do you plan to take this product to market? If you're a SaaS platform, how are you going to get to those CTOs? You're a women's handbag, how are you going to get to 40 to 70-year-old women? If you're a workout product, a pre-workout, how are you going to get to the gym bros, the bodybuilders? How are you going to get to them? This is your go-to-market strategy. And it needs to be solid. You'll spend a little bit more time here because I need to know that you have a sound plan to get this product to market. And this is where you're going to want to spend some time and talk to other people in your industry, because the people sitting on the other side of the table that you're presenting to have seen a lot of go-to-market strategies, and they're going to associate a lot of go-to-market strategies with failures. And if yours matches a failure, they're going to question you. Okay? So this is where you come meet with us. We give you a ton of people who have done what you've done, and you meet with them and you learn how to put together a really strong go-to-market strategy. See the flow, how we're working to the end game? The end game is going to be an ask. How much are you asking for and at what valuation? And we're working our way there very strategically. This flow that I'm giving you, it's proven. We have raised tens of millions of dollars using this flow. It's proven, it's good, it's solid. Now come my financial projections. Does everybody know what a pro forma is? Does anybody not know? It's okay to say, I don't know. Okay. A pro forma is
I guess what's the abbreviation?
what?
What's the abbreviation? Is it abbreviation?
No. Pro forma is your financial projections, okay? So what I'm going to show you here is what I will give you. Anybody asks for this, I will share it with you. The key is that you take this pro forma and you cut and you paste it into your own document. I've shared this with hundreds of people. You have to cut and paste this because I'm going to continue to share it. If you start modifying this, you're screwing with the document everybody's using and everybody can see. You saw I had a backup because I'm so worried somebody's going to mess with it. Oh, yeah, now I see what you're talking about. I thought you were looking at it. Okay, so here's the sample pro forma. All right, so where's my revenue coming from? This is just, you take this and you customize it to each of your own businesses. What are my revenue sources? Okay, I might be selling on social media. I might be selling door to door. I might also have a few salesmen out doing something. My different channels, okay? So I'm going to track each of them individually. What are my expenses? I'm going to have salaries. I'm going to have rent on a space, insurance, utilities, all these different expenses. Here's my revenue total, okay? In September of last year, I'm projecting I'm going to do $46,000. Here are my expenses totals. On that 46, I'm going to have $50,000 of expenses. And then, you guys see okay? Whoa. Okay. So I'm upside down $4,000. Now look at this. This is what I love about my pro forma is I've built in a cash flow analysis. People will come to me and say, hey, Corbin, I'm really thinking about hiring this person. This is what they'd bring to the company. Should I or shouldn't I? Grab your pro forma. Let's take a look. You grab your pro forma. You build that person in. You add their salary in. What's it going to do to the revenue? Oh, not much, because he's just going to be reporting and giving me all this data. Okay, we're going to add them in, but we're not going to change our revenue line. Okay? We're going to add a salesperson. How much is that person going to sell? All right, that's an easier one to add because they're going to offset themselves. Okay? This is where we make our decisions. Because check this out. Beginning cash. I started this business with $50,000. Okay? This number right here, investment capital, we brought in no investment capital. I'm $1,400 upside down. That's this total. That's revenue minus expenses minus $1,400. So that comes here, taking my cash now to $48,600. Okay? Now we come down here. I've added more money. Okay? Forget this line. This is where it starts. Okay? $100,000. This is the investment capital. I'm at 125. Now we watch this as we go across, and what we're looking for is we're looking for this number to go negative. Because when this number goes negative, again, these are all fictitious numbers put in here. When that number goes negative, my business is in peril. I either need to raise more capital in this line, or my sales need to increase, something. But this right here is my business Bible. This is where I'm answering my questions from. You have to have a pro forma, and a good CEO will live in their pro forma. You will know this. Do not have somebody build this for you. Otherwise, you won't know how to work it. You won't. And then you can't make business decisions. Question.
So as like the owner, you want to be doing the performer, not like
An accountant?
manager or an accountant.
No
or
way.
anything like that.
You can have somebody who's working very closely with you on it, but this is so simplistic. I sat in a meeting in that back room today, and they have a CFO, and their pro forma, it's his company, their pro forma is so complex. There are so many tabs across the bottom. There are so many things interworking with all these pages. That's complexity. So Thomas has a CFO because of the level of complexity. He barely knows how to turn on a computer. He couldn't do that, okay? But Thomas could work this. And in the early days of Thomas's business, he worked at this level and he knew it well. But now as it's grown, yeah, he's turned it over to a CFO who reports to him and tells him what's going on.
So then the CFO does more like the bookkeeping. And then
Now it's actual numbers and projections. It's actual numbers through March of 2026 and projections beyond that. Okay? Everybody good?
You said you can send that.
I share this with you. You ask for me, I share it with you. Okay? And then we have people around here who will spend time with you helping you build your pro forma because you don't know financial numbers. That's normal. That's okay. We have people to help you do this. Okay? But we're taking guesses. We're saying, all right, how much do we think we could actually sell? We're just going to chop off. See, this keeps getting changed. Me, somebody else, whatever. So we'd actually just change this to 2026. If we can be selling by September, how many units are we going to sell? And if you, sometimes I have multipliers on these. Usually I'll put in my product and my pricing and stuff. Somebody's changed things. It is what it is. But you can put in the cost of your goods or something so that these numbers are always pulling from this number. And if you change your price from about $1.76 to $1.85, you change it here and it changes the whole spreadsheet. So you have a key, or your second tab might be the key where it's pulling from that. Okay? Questions on pro forma? Feel free to ask. This is super important. This discussion is not about building a pro forma. Do you have a pro forma for stream?
Yes.
How often do you refer to it?
Probably like
Okay, you're constantly looking at it. And how much of Stream's pro forma now is real versus projections?
Now it's starting to get real, but I would say
You started selling in the last 2 weeks.
like 6 weeks.
Okay, let me go and ask you this question. You were guessing. You were saying, this is how many I think I can sell in March of 26. When you built those projections and now you're actually selling product, how close are you to reality? Below, on target, or above?
Right now, I'm like way above where I thought I was going.
Way above. So you under projected. You were conservative in your projections. You're blowing them away.
Yeah, I'm
Okay? And so as we look at that, you were guessing so many units. I want to use my mouse right now so badly. I wish this were a touchscreen. Your revenue is higher. Your expenses are pretty much the same. So you're going to need less capital. Fair? Are you self-funded?
Yes.
Self-funded. Okay? All right? But as he grows and he looks at his business and he says, I'm going to start fueling this fire because I've proven it works, and he wants to buy more product and put more money into marketing, that may require a capital infusion. And this right here will tell him, as he starts to model that out, this will tell him, look, I'm going in the red right here. I will change this next time and show you how it goes in the red. But when I start to see this go negative or in the red, that's when I know I need to raise capital, make cuts. Something has to happen in my business. That's why you use this. This tells you if I'm on track or off track. Critical. Yes, this is something that we share. Everybody uses this. It's a great model. Okay? Questions? Good? Yeah.
Not about the performer, but how would you pitch to someone that you want to sell your product? Or like in my case that I'm doing the nut butter, how can I pitch it to a wholesaler, like someone at the store, so they buy my product?
This pitch is a financial projection. Okay? This is pitching to raise money. You would never carry anything in like this. For your nut butter, you would take your sample and you'd have a one-pager. And this one-pager is going to have some bullet points that tells, look how many I've sold, look at the comments from people, look at how popular this is, something. You're going to leave them with a sample. You're going to have this one-pager that gives them those most important things about your product. What does your product not have in it that the others have? Why can people use your product that can't use other products? Why should that store carry your product? That's what's on your one-pager, and here's the sample. This is a 30-minute pitch to raise $250,000. You have 1 to 2 minutes, unless you have an appointment with a buyer. If you have an appointment with a buyer, it's different. You have more time. Okay? But usually, that first one, the 1 to 2 minutes, is trying to get an appointment to sit down to get your product on their shelf. Okay? And you should start with small markets. Days Market, Harmon's is really good at taking on Utah products. They love to test Utah products. They have a Utah section. Okay? Good Earth is a local. Stay small. Don't be thinking Whole Foods and Sprouts and places like that. We work our way to them. Okay? Farmers markets and the one-offs. And after you get done with the one-offs, we step up to Harmon's and then we step up to Associated Foods. Everything's a step of progression. We don't go from 0 to 150 miles an hour. We don't go from here to Costco. Costco doesn't talk to you until you put in front of them numbers. Very juicy numbers. Costco is 100% about dollars. You would have a tough time getting into Costco. They like big ticket items. You'd have to pack a lot of nut butters together to get your price up high so that they like big dollar items, okay? All right, so that's how financial goes. Let's go back to the pitch deck. The pro forma, that was a side thing that I got off on. Now I'm going to take from that financial projection, from that pro forma, I'm going to take year one, and I just call it Y1 revenue. And I show that Y2 revenue, Y3 revenue. And then after that, I have profit loss. And I'm going to show year one profit loss, year two profit loss, year three profit loss. And all I need to see is slow and steady growth of those numbers. I'm not putting here a section of my spreadsheet or anything like that. Year one, year two, year three. Never put up anything more than that. You're the laughing stock by having financial projections. You would also be the laughing stock if you didn't have them. If you go to year 4 and year 5, it's comical. But you got to give me through year 3. I at least want to see that you're projecting, you're thinking, you're, but anything beyond that, even year 3 is just so too hypothetical. Trying to use my mouse, it's just, I need a clicker is what I need. Okay, so back here, let's go. All right, so that is financial projections. We can take off closed captioning. If we can find our mouse. Okay, so that last line is bolded for a reason. Oh, I think I forgot an important bolded line before. There is a key phrase that I want you to use in your presentation, and it was a couple slides up. The phrase product market fit is an absolutely critical phrase to drop during your presentation. Okay? Financial people love to hear product market fit. And when you're talking about your product and the solution to the problem, just say, here's why this is a perfect product market fit or an ideal product market fit. It's a word they need, it's a phrase they need to hear. Okay? Product market fit. Drop it, it's big. But here, the key is these people, they're not entrepreneurs. They couldn't start a business if they tried. You have a leg up on them, and they need what you have. They only exist if good jockeys with good ideas walk into their office. Keep that in mind. Don't get arrogant, but be confident. They survive because you come in with great ideas. But now, you've just hit their strong suit. These geeks look at spreadsheets all day, every day, nonstop. And this is where they're going to go to town. They want to see numbers. They want to know how your go-to-market strategy plays into these numbers. And this is where they're going to want to grill you, okay? This is their sweet spot. Yeah.
From not necessarily to go over in the presentation, but for them to review afterwards?
Yeah, so your appendix could contain, at the end, you'll see the last, in a typical presentation, you'd see appendix. And then you can put your projections in there, but they're not going to be able to look at that and review it. You've sent your deck to them, and in the appendix, put that, or just have your pro forma attached. Oh yeah. They're going to tie everything back together, and they are going to scour your pro forma. You're nice and slow and working through it. They zing through it so fast because that's what they're professionals at. All right, now let's get to the team slide. It's 4:15. We were done 15 minutes ago, and you're my 4 o'clock appointment. I'm sorry. Okay, moving at the speed of dark. Let's wrap this up. Your team. Most of you are young. The most important thing I can tell you about being young is everybody thinks I'm too young. I'm selling Cutler's product Stream is a male prostate product. Well, he doesn't even know what the male prostate is. And so it's for people my age who their prostate has enlarged and it causes them to have an urgency to pee all the time. Like, sometimes during a presentation like this, I'm sorry, folks, I'll be right back because I got to run. Well, he doesn't even know what that means yet, and he won't for 35 more years. But he doesn't need to worry that he's 22 years old. He has the product. He has the invention. Don't ever worry about your age. who you don't have that syndrome. There is no imposter syndrome here. We love your energy. We love what you've got and wish we still had it. Okay? But I also know Cutler doesn't know crap because he's 22 years old, and by virtue of being 22, he hasn't experienced enough life yet to know. And I know that. There's no way. And this is where Cutler compensates for that. Cutler's deck, when he gets to the team slide, he puts himself up as CEO. Or founder's the better word. You earn C titles. You earn them by failing, growing, learning. C titles are earned, they're not bestowed. But you founded the company, you are the CEO, but you might just choose founder. And then from there, Cutler puts several pictures of old farts like me with gray hair. Because as he does so, and he just calls them advisors or mentors, and the moment he does that, he has told his audience, if my 22 years of age concerned you at all, be not concerned. Look who's on my team. And his product is a supplement. This dude, supplement expert. This gal, marketing guru, the best. This guy, Corbin, look how old he is. That should say enough, okay? This page speaks volumes about my team. And as Cutler goes through them, he just says, these are people who are on my board, who are advisors to my company, who do this for me. Boom, boom, boom. Next slide. It is a confidence builder for those people who you're pitching who might be questioning your age or experience in business.
I started an interior design company, and we do high-end homes. And so I go in as the main designer.
Yeah.
Young.
Yeah.
And so I've already noticed a lot of pushback at my age, but my partner is a mom, and so she comes with me. They refer to her. So I'm wondering, we do presentations. Like, how can you be taken more seriously when you are young? I mean, is it a matter of dress?
It's a matter of dress. You need to dress up. You need to make yourself look. I would go in, as an interior designer, it's about fashion. I would walk in very fashionable, but also I would carefully drop. I think that you saw the home that I did for Sally because they referenced a home that they saw, how somehow they found you.
Yeah.
You saw what we did in Sally's home. I did this in Sally's home because I was trying to achieve this look. You just got to bring credibility to yourself by saying, here's what I do and why I do it. And make yourself look better and more experienced than you are. Fake it till you make it. Okay? Because look, in interior design, that is experience. That's years of experience and knowledge. And so you've got to somehow convey that. Okay? It's a big selling of yourself. When Kara and I dropped out of college, back when the dinosaurs were on the earth, we looked 12 years old. I'm just not kidding. You should see our wedding pictures. It looks like I committed a crime. And we were taking large deposits from people, $50,000 deposits for windows on a home, because this was very luxury packages. We had such imposter syndrome, and you just can't have that. You exude confidence, and people will go with you. You exude fear and lack of confidence, and you're going to lose your clients. Okay? Great question. All right, so that's the team slide. Then comes the ask. How much are you seeking, and what is your valuation? I'm looking for $250,000 today to execute on my go-to-market strategy and to hit those numbers that I showed you. I'm asking for that at a $2 million valuation. And there's just not much I elaborate on that. That's what it is. Then they will start asking you questions. My last slide, use of proceeds. This is where I would continue to explain, here's how I'm going to use the 250 grand. Answer their question before they ask it. Detail how you're going to use it. That is called use of proceeds. Proceeds are the money that they're giving you. Explain how you're going to use it. Do not. Boy on Tuesday told me he was going to take an $80,000 salary.
I think he said too.
And his head went rolling across the floor. It's just, I'm not going to give you 80 grand. I think he's a sophomore. What sophomore makes 80 G's? He's a freshman. I just want to kick that stool over right now. No. I mean, what do you live on right now? Oh, $1,600. I'll give you $1,600. Okay? I mean, you're using borrowed money. When you have profits, then we'll talk about a reasonable salary. You got to show me frugality if you want my money. He lost me because he was going to spend our money foolishly. $250 needs to go into growing this business, not new desks, computers, Class A office space, blah, blah, blah. Lost me. I would have, if that would have been a real pitch, I would have had a chat with him. Okay, 5 things that need to be conveyed. Your team, your tactical advantage, your TAM, your traction, and the terms of the deal, okay? All these slides are available for you. Last thing, what?
Sorry. I thought you made the comment because I was taking another picture.
Oh no, she was behind you. Okay, the last thing, and this is super important. You've got to maintain control of your presentation. You are pitching to the most arrogant people in the world. Other than movie stars, this is probably as arrogant as people get. These people are jerks. They know they have something you desperately need, and that just empowers them to a level that is barf-worthy. Sorry, you won't get it here. These people are very cool. We will teach you. We will help you. We will adjust your valuation. If you're too low, we're going to adjust your valuation up. That's how dumb we are. But we're, they're going to beat you up. They're going to do everything they can. But here's what happens. You're in there to pitch them on your company, right? Your 30 minutes is up. You did 5 minutes of the talking, and some bloke in that room did 25. Happens all the time. They love to hear themselves speak because they are God's gift to the world in their mind. Here's what you do. You must maintain control of your presentation. People are going to ask you questions, and they're jumping ahead. And I need you to not blow them off, or you lost their vote. And so what I do is I say, that's a great question. And the quick answer is 17 because of this and this, but I'm going to be there in 2 slides. Give me a second and I'll be right there and I'll elaborate on what I just told you. Answer his question. Give him something. Don't offend the person. It's a vote. Don't lose a vote. Give him an answer. Don't give him too much and tell him I'll come right back. You know this deck. You have been sleeping with it. You've been perspiring for the past 10 days for this appointment. You know where the answer is. Tell him I'll be there in 2 slides. Maintain control of your presentation. Don't let them take it over. What are they judging? What are they judging? What? My ability to lead the company. If they've taken over your presentation, consider that they're checking to see if you're a leader or not. Regain control of your presentation and follow the presentation you brought in to do, not what they wanted. It just varies. You're going to get it all, but most of the time, they will take over your presentation. Most important thing I can tell you is be sure to get everything in that you needed to say, and the way you do that is by maintaining control of your presentation. It's tough. People are cocky. I don't say that to scare you, but it's a scary situation. Walking into pitch at your age with your experience, it's scary. We here at iHub will prep you to pitch until you're ready to pitch. Okay? You'll come up here, you'll pitch here, you'll soil your drawers here, and then you won't soil them as badly when you're in front of a VC. come here, get scared, screw up here. Let people throw questions at you. You want to do this before you go pitch in front of your real money person. You want to at least do it in this scenario 5 times. And you want different crowds because you want people firing questions at you. This audience right here doesn't know what questions to ask. But as much as possible, we want people in front of us throwing pretty tough questions at us so that when we get in with the sharks or the VCs, it's easy. Like, I've answered all these questions. You guys were easy. That's how I want to walk out of that presentation. Okay? All right. I'm way over time. Thank you. I'd love to keep asking questions, but we asked them as we went. These slides are available to you. I think it's going to help you do well. When you need to pitch, you work it out with us and we'll put you live here. We also have regular pitch presentations. We also regularly have pitch events. But you have to earn your way to pitch at a pitch event. You have to be in the top 12 or 15 in order to earn a spot at a pitch event. Okay? So you have to be amongst the best. Yes?
How can we get that pro forma?
That pro forma. Send me an email and I will reply with it. And then just remember, it'll be a shared link. And then just cut and paste it into your own spreadsheet. Go to work on it. Okay? Yeah, send me an email. Okay? Nice job, everybody. Let's go. Happy for you. Eth, sorry, man. Let's go. Oh, yeah, sure. Thanks. Appreciate you, Eddie.
There we go.
Okay.